Hello and welcome TBU fans, I'm your host King5 and today I am bringing you my week 1 match up against Polymac, the season 4 champion, going up against him in week 1. But I feel like we have a pretty strong matchup, so let's get into the team I decided to bring. So first off, Mega Sharpedo, because his dark resists are Tyranitar, weak to water, and Blaziken, weak to water. So Crunch is just going to do a lot of damage to everything on his team. Strong Jaw, boosted Crunch, going to do a lot. I also have the Waterfall to hit the Dark Resist, HP Fire to hit Ferret Thorn, which can potentially take 2 Crunches, and I have Aqua Jet to kind of like revenge kill things like maybe an Agility Blaziken or just Choice Scarf. Just priority in general is really nice. Dragon Dance T-Tar, weakened Galvantula, that sort of thing, as well as Vivillon. Like if that thing sets up, having the priority in the back would be really useful. This EV spread is just enough to outspeed, what was it? I think it's just Mew, max speed Mew, and then the rest into attack and a little bit in special attack to make my HP Fire hit Ferrothorn a little bit harder. So that's pretty much all for the Sharpedo set, pretty straightforward. And let's move on to Lando. In my opinion, one of the biggest threats to his team. Oh, my bad. We'll get to that later. But Lando T. Now, if you look at his team, I don't see a ground resist, oh, it's Vivillon. So, his ground resist is Vivillon, which means Lando T is going to do a lot of work this game. I'm actually not running a lot of attack investment because 108 attack is all I really need to basically kill everything on his team. This investment allows me at +2 to Oko Ferrothorn with my Z Earthquake, which is his most physically defensive mon, and Smackdown is exclusively for the Vivillon and or breaking balloons. So yeah, I don't really need to rely on Stone Edge or anything missing when Smackdown Oko's Vivillon anyways. Enough speed for Blaziken, as that is one of the bigger threats to my team. It's one of the only things that I can't wall between my Tangrowth and my Florges, so that's definitely worth speed creeping in my opinion. And then 220 HP allows me to live a lot of hits that he may think would kill me, like a lot of ice coverage on his team. If I had no investment, would just knock me out, but with this investment, I am living an HP Ice from Blaziken, I'm living Ice Beam from Licky Licky, I'm living a lot of things. So having that bulk is really nice. It also gives me a pretty solid Blaziken check, as I outspeed him if he's not Scarf or Setup with Agility, and if he is, HP Ice doesn't kill me, unless he's like max special attack Life Orb, but in that case, Florges just walls. I feel like Flare Blitz, or at least a mixed set, is a lot better versus my team, but like more physically oriented, so having the Intimidate with a lot of HP investment is really nice for that. And then I have Dual Dance, which is kind of situational. If I get the opportunity to set up, this thing definitely is going to put in a lot of work. But yeah, moving on to the next Pokemon, which is going to be the first mon in my defensive core, and that is Tangrowth. So Tangrowth, Assault Vest was something that I considered this game, as it does help me versus the Blastoise and the Galvantula, but both of those have ways to hit Tangrowth anyways, being Ice Beam and Bug Buzz, so I didn't really see the point of going max special defense, especially when Florges kind of covers both of those anyways. So I just went with enough special defense to live 1 Ice Beam from max special attack Modest Blastoise, and then I can Giga Drain it back, throw off a Toxic, and another reason I didn't go with AV is that Toxic is super nice versus his team. Like, his Toxic immunities are Ferrothorn, and that's it. So having that versus his team is really nice, gives me a way to chip down the Mew, which is one of the biggest threats to my team. Giga Drain for my Stab, Knockoff to get rid of items, just generally nice, and HP Fire for the Ferrothorn, as that's something that might want to come in on my Toxic / Giga Drain and try to get hazards versus me, which hazards are really good versus me because my hazard control this week is Empoleon, which doesn't have the greatest matchup outside of Sugar Berry variant, which still doesn't have a very good matchup, so I'm not bringing it, of course, you can see, and Swellow, which is going to be my defogger this week because I can't risk him hazard stacking, as Stealth Rock plus 3 spikes if he brings Ferrothorn, That's going to be really annoying to switch into, especially with Florges being one of my most important mons, being capable of walling the vast majority of his team. I don't want that thing taking entry hazard damage if I can help it. So that kind of leaves me into the next Pokemon, which is actually going to be Swellow. Actually, let me go back to Tango for a second. This defense investment allows me to live 2 Banded Outrages from Zygarde 10% if he's Jolly, after rocks and leftovers. I believe that's what the calc is for that defense, so it kind of hits 2 benchmarks at the same time, so that's pretty cool. Next up I have Swellow Life Orb because I do not want to be locked into a move with Specs, but I do want the boosted power of Life Orb. Defog is nice, as I already stated I don't want hazards up on my side of the field. Having rocks up on his side is nice, but it's not really necessary, so I feel like defogging away rocks if we both have them up is still more beneficial for me. U-turn is to kind of get momentum on the T-Tar that might want to come in. Then I can go into my Infernape, which has not very many switch-ins on his team, as you can probably see. But yeah, we'll get to Infernape later. Boom Burst Heat Wave hits the vast majority of his team outside of T-Tar. Heat Wave pretty much just for Ferrothorn. That's pretty much it. Boom Burst is going to be the move that I'm spamming the most in this game. And Speed Creep is for a Scarf Tyranitar, and the rest in just HP and Special Attack. It's pretty straightforward, not really much else to say. Next up is my Florges. Just going to go with Max Defense, Max HP for in Special Defense because his Special Attackers are still walled by Florges, even with no investment, or 4 investment, but we can call that no investment. Wish Protect, Moonblast, and Heal Bell, as his best way of dealing with Florges is Toxic, so having Heal Bell on this thing is really nice. Moonblast hits his entire team except for Ferrothorn pretty hard, and it's pretty nice. This thing can also take a hit from Blaziken and do a lot of damage back, putting it in range of the Mega Sharpedo's Aqua Jet if I do need that. So that's pretty nice. Max Defense allows me to take on a potential Zygarde, which doesn't 2-hit KO with 1000 arrows after leftovers. Just having max defense is really helpful this game. Much more useful than having special defense. So yeah, moving on to my last Pokemon, it's just going to be my Infernape, which is just a simple Choice Scarf Infernape with rocks. As I said, rocks aren't too important, so I'm not really super prioritizing them, which is why having Scarf Rocks is completely fine in this matchup. Flare Blitz Close Combat U-turn is all I really need. Having a little bit more coverage would be nice, like maybe if HP Ice for the Zygarde, but Close Combat already kind of sends that packing, and I do have Tangrowth, so I don't really see that coming anyways. Yeah, so just dual stabs and U-turn is pretty nice coverage. I guess I could also have Earthquake for the Blaziken, but I feel like Lando T has a pretty good job checking that thing anyways, as well as if he's not set up or anything, I can have Mega Sharpedo come in and revenge, as well as Swellow. So I don't feel like I need Earthquake versus the Blaziken. So having momentum is really nice because I can U-turn out into Lando T and just click Earthquake. I can U-turn out into Mega Sharpedo and just click Crunch. And there's not really much he can do about it. So that's why I have U-turn over Earthquake, as Infernape can only really do damage if I predict correctly, whereas Sharpedo and Lando don't really need to predict. They can just click their stabs and get kills. So that's pretty cool, which is going to be right here. And as you can see, he has brought the Mega Blastoise, Galvantula, Mew, Blaziken, Golurk, didn't really expect that, and the Licky Licky. So let's get right into the battle. So what I'm going to do is lead off with, what do I lead off with? I don't actually remember, so let's find out. He leads off with the Mega Blastoise, and I lead off with my Infernape, I remember. Just because I can U-turn on a lot of Pokemon, I can potentially get up my Stealth Rocks turn 1 if I get the lead matchup and he's forced to switch. But since he leads off with the Blastoise, I'm just going to U-turn out into my Florges as he Mega Evolves. And Shiny Mega Blastoise, that's pretty cool. But I'm just going to U-turn into my Florges and take any attack he wants to throw at me. Flash Cannon, if he does have it, is not a 2-hit KO, and I don't think he's having it because he kind of needs other moves. But he does go for the Scald, and it's going to do quite a lot of damage to my Florges, so that reveals he is definitely max special attack modest. And I'm going to get my leftovers, and I'm just going to throw up a Wish, as it's completely safe. There's not really much he can do to take advantage of that. I guess he can go into like Mew or something to try to set up Calm Minds or something, but I have ways to deal with that. I'm going to go for my Wish on the Golurk, and since I'm physically defensive, this thing can't really touch me, so I'm completely fine to stay in and just go for Moonblast. I know he's going for Stealth Rocks, but there's not really much I can do to capitalize off of that, besides just getting off damage with the Moonblast. And it does a lot of damage. It does 40%, give or take, which reveals that he's max HP. I also outspeed, so he's no speed investment, or very little. So right now I'm thinking max HP, max attack, but then I see the leftovers and I'm like, this could be a more defensive spread. But I am going to go for Moonblast here again, as it is a 3-hit KO, as this turn he's actually going to reveal to have the Toxic. And as I was saying, like, one of his main ways of dealing with Florges is Toxic, but I am packing the Heal Bell. So I'm just going to go straight for the Heal Bell, as even after the next turn of leftovers, he will be in range of Moonblast, and I don't really expect him to double Toxic here, as he kind of has to bank on me not having Heal Bell to make his play here, as he's going to switch out as I go for the Heal Bell, and he's going to go into Billy Gun, which is his Licky Licky. Now this thing can't really threaten me very well, but I can't really threaten it either, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to scout for the Toxic here, and just kind of, what do I do here? I don't actually remember. Let's find out. So I do switch out, and I do go into my Tangrowth, as it does have the Toxic and can eat up any attack this thing goes for. Ice Beam is not a 2-hit KO with my special defense investment, so I would be able to live 2 hits and potentially regen it off. And I'm just going to throw off a Toxic, as from the 6 that he brought, he does not have a Toxic immunity. I do reveal on leftovers here, which is kind of alright. I guess not really much I can do about it, as he does go out into the Mew, and getting a Toxic off on this is really nice, as if it's a fat Mew, it's really hard to kill outside of Mega Sharpedo. And yeah, so getting that Toxic off means that I can just kind of go into Florges and sit on it for a while. He's going to get the Synchronized Toxic on my Tangrowth, but that's not a huge deal with regen and leftovers kind of canceling that out. But yeah, I'm just going to go straight out into my Florges and try to Toxic stall this Mew a little bit. At this point, I'm not really sure if he's defensive or offensive. The way he brought it into my Tangrowth means I think he's definitely going to be a setup variant, because why else would you bring it in on Tangrowth? You're just going to get knocked off and regen back if you're not a setup variant. So I'm going to go into my Florges, as he does reveal the Calm Mind, and I can just kind of wish stall this thing. At this point, I'm not sure if he's offensive or defensive. I'm kind of forced to play around both, so what I'm trying to do with my Florges is stay out of range of a Genesis Supernova from this Mew if it's offensive, which is a little bit of a tall order if it's offensive Mew, because this thing is getting boosts, and Florges is not specially defensive, it's physically defensive, which means Genesis Supernova is going to do a lot. So now he gets up his second Calm Mind as I go for the Wish, and yeah. So here, I believe a Genesis Supernova cannot knock me out unless he gets up another Calm Mind. So I think what I'm going to do is, what do I do here? I think I switch out. Yeah, I do switch out. Actually, Genesis Supernova, if I remember correctly, was a roll. So if he wants to kill my Florges, he has to go for the Genesis Supernova if he's offensive, which means that Sharpedo is a free switch. Because no other play would come out, he wouldn't go for an Energy Ball on a Florges. And I do get the Wish up, so I don't really take any rocks damage, which is nice. And now he's at a range where even max defense Culberberry has a very good chance to get knocked out by Crunch, so I'm just going to go for the Crunch as he switches out. And I'm able to hit the Licky Licky on switch-in with the Crunch in a Mega Evolve, and Sharpedo showing how cool it looks. Look at that, amazing. And I'm going to go for the Crunch, as he doesn't really have good switch-ins. And he reveals that the Licky Licky from this damage is actually max defense, but he gets a defense drop. So I am going to be able to 2-hit KO this thing, and he's basically forced to sack a Pokemon. Or I guess he could go into Blaziken, but like Crunch plus Aqua Jet might be able to knock that out. I'm not really sure on that calc. Anyways, risking the Waterfall, which I could have gone for, just fishing for a flinch in order to switch out. He didn't want to risk that, I guess, so just sacking Golurk was fine. Not really too big of a deal, in my opinion, because Golurk was outsped and KO'd by every Pokemon on my team, but having the sack fodder probably would have been pretty nice. But now he brings out his Galvantula, and I'm just going to go into my Florges as I can eat up any hits. And if he goes for the Volt Switch, he gets momentum, which he does. But I am not going to take very much. And I can just Wish Up on pretty much every Pokemon on this team besides the Blaziken if it's Life Orb. But he goes into his Licky Licky, and we're just going to trade wishes, trying to get healthy, both of our walls. Not really too much happening in this next few turns. If I remember correctly, we're just wishing up. As I need my Florges to take on a lot of Pokemon on his team, and he needs Licky Licky to take on my Sharpedo. So, yeah. He also reveals that he's not leftovers on his Licky Licky, and a little bit of lag right there. Sorry about that. But I'm going to switch out into my what's it called, Infernape, on the Ice Beam, as I didn't really expect him to do anything to touch Infernape here, and getting this in, I can just fire up a close combat, do a lot of damage to this thing, and just weaken it for my Sharpedo to go in, for my Swellow, for a lot of things. But he goes for the Protect, scaling what I want to lock myself into, as going for U-turn. Turn 1 kind of gives it away that I'm Choice Scarf, or at least, well yeah, I am Choice Scarf. But he reveals the Chople Berry, and this close combat is not going to do very much. And he's actually going to knock me out with the Earthquake after the defense drop. So that's going to be pretty nice prep on his part, and I'm going to lose my Infernape. So that's kind of unfortunate, but what can you do? Now what I'm going to do is going to try to get these rocks out of the way, because since his rocker is dead, I do want to defog as soon as possible. And Ice Beam from Licky Licky is a roll heavily in my favor with my HP investment on Swellow, so I'm just going to go for the defog as he protects, trying to scout if I was Specs, what I want to do. I'm not Specs though, I'm Life Orb, and I'm just going to go for the defog. And not really much else to say about this turn. He's just going to go for the Ice Beam, I believe, trying to knock me out, but with my HP investment I'm able to hang on with just 10 HP, I believe, yeah, 10 HP. And now I'm just going to fire off a Boom Burst, get off a lot of damage on this thing, as I believe he just goes for the Wish, as he knows that unless I'm Specs, I can't knock him out, and obviously I'm not Specs if I'm going for defog. Well, if I am Specs, I'm not going to be able to hit him with a Boom Burst, so Wish was completely free on his part. But he's in a range where a Z Earthquake, even through Protect, will knock him out, and anything he wants to switch into will die. So I'm going to go into my Lando T to force a kill, basically, with the Z Earthquake, as absolutely nothing on his team can switch in to the Earthquake. Everything dies. So I'm going to pick up a kill here, guaranteed, which is why I went for the Z Earthquake over regular Earthquake. I figured he might not Protect, because he can't really risk me setting up, but going for the Z Earthquake was overall the safest play, as it guarantees a kill, and guaranteeing a kill is really nice. I get a crit there, a little bit of overkill, and by a little bit I need a lot, but yeah, so he knows that I'm offensive Lando now for sure, as he's going to go into his Blastoise. Now I know from the U-turn damage earlier that this thing is max HP, so I'm not going to stay in an Earthquake, as it's basically going to bounce off, and I do have my Florges, which is at a range where I can take 2 Scalds even after a burn, and just wish off the damage. Thankfully he doesn't get the burn though, and I'm able to just wish up my Florges, as he's going to stay in and fish for another Scald burn, as I reveal that I outspeed this Blastoise, so that means that he is a quiet nature, so he probably has Aqua Jet, as he is primarily specially based, as we can see by the damage, but knowing that he's quiet nature is going to be pretty helpful, I guess. Not really. But I'm just going to go for the Protect here to be sure that my Florges is healthy, as I would die to a Scald at that range. It does 54 min. But he does try to catch me on my Moonblast, trying to predict a switch, but I'm going to make the safe play here and get my Florges healthy, and now I have no reason not to go for another Wish. I could go for a Moonblast here, but if he crits me I would be in a very bad spot, so I'm just going to go for the safe play of Wishing Up. And now Mew is in. I believe I can just go for the Moonblast here, kind of completely freely. But I can also go out into my Sharpedo and pick up a kill, as he's basically forced to roost here. I don't remember exactly what I do. I think I go into Sharpedo here, as he switches out into his Galvantula. Wait, no, I just Moonblast. Never mind. I remember. Because I hit the Galvantula on switch-in, and he was trying to catch my Sharpedo switch there, I believe. And now my Florges is at full, and his Galvantula is in range of an Aqua Jet from my Sharpedo, I think. But I have no reason not to click Moonblast here, and he doesn't have a huge reason to keep this thing, as it'll always be walled by my Florges, and I'm just going to knock this thing out with the Moonblast. And that is going to be another check to Sharpedo gone. So that's pretty nice. Also, if that thing was HP Ice, it could potentially check my Lando T. Although it wouldn't OHKO, it would do a lot of damage where any chip damage would put me in range. But he's going to go into his Mew, click Calm Mind, and here I believe I just go for the Wish. I believe that's what I do. And yes, I do go for the Wish. And I think at this point I am going to go for the Protect, because a offensive Genesis Supernova would potentially knock me out. I think that's what I do. Or do I switch into Sharpedo? I'm not sure. No, I do switch out into Sharpedo, as Genesis Supernova is, again, the only thing that can knock out my Florges. So I feel pretty safe going out into my Sharpedo, as it's likely he's going to recover anyways. And now Crunch potentially could get a kill. However, if he's defensive Colbur Berry, which I don't know yet, Crunch would not be able to kill, and he would be able to kill me with any coverage move. So I'm actually going to scout what his set is, because I know he has Psychic Stab, because there's no reason not to have it versus my team. So I'm going to go into my Lando to find out what his other coverage move is, as I actually catch him on the Vacuum Wave, and that damage is very crucial to note, as he actually reveals that he has 0 special attack, which is really nice to know, which means my Florges is able to wall this thing. So I'm just going to go right onto this, as Toxic damage is going to rack up, as he actually reveals the Z move here, as he's not Colbur Berry, which was kind of surprising to me. Based on how he was playing, I did expect it to be Colbur Berry, but he does reveal the actual Shattered Psyche, which makes sense because he wouldn't want Genesis Supernova to block out the Vacuum Wave priority. But yeah, look at that, Florges just bouncing around. And I do live that, but even after a Protect, I will be in range of a lot of things on his team, and he can just click Psyshock here. Well, I guess he could have Psychic, but Psyshock is a little bit better versus my team, as it hits Florges harder. But I'm going to go for the Protect, as if he roosts, Toxic will knock him out in 2 or 3 turns, and I can just revenge kill it with a lot of things on my team. But he does choose to just go for Psyshock, guaranteeing that my Florges is low, as if he roosted on my Wish, that could have been really bad for him. And Toxic damage is going to take out the Mew, which is really nice. So now, he goes out into his Blaziken, and I have no reason not to just stay in and go for Moonblast, as if he goes for Agility, that's the only real way that he can win, if he sets up like that. And he's Life Orb, which he's actually going to reveal that he's not Life Orb. And this means I can go out into my Lando T, and just click Earthquake. I am speed creeping this thing, and Blastoise, which is his only remaining Pokemon at this point, cannot switch into 2 Earthquakes, and I do outspeed that. So he's going to go for the Flare Blitz here, revealing that he is Scarf, as I'm actually going to eat that up with ease with my Lando T, and I'm just going to knock him out with the Earthquake, and that's going to be a dead Blaziken. So next up is his Blastoise, and I'm just going to stay in and Earthquake that thing twice. Well, I'm going to Earthquake him here, and from the range he's at, Earthquake is going to be a 2-hit KO. He does reveal the Aqua Jet here. Not really sure why he went for that over Scald, as Earthquake is not going to knock him out. But I guess he had to, like, actually I don't really know why. He could have decreased the differential there by just going for Scald, but he didn't. And here he actually doesn't go for an Aqua Jet again, trying to predict me going into Sharpedo or something, trying to preserve differential, but I'm just going to stay in an Earthquake, knock out the Blastoise, and that's going to be the good game. 3-0 in my victory versus Paul, and that's pretty much it for the game. I'm going to wait for the icons to pop up. Come on, Paul, there you go, and pause it, and yeah. So that's going to be 3 kills for Lando T, which is really nice. 1 kill for Mega Sharpedo, and 1 kill, or not, wait, was it? Yeah, 3 kills for Lando, 1 for Sharpedo, 1 for Tangrowth on the Toxic for Mew, and 1 for Florges on Galvantula. So that's pretty nice. I like to see Lando T putting in the work, although versus no ground resist, it's generally, well, it's going to be a massive threat no matter what he did. But yeah, getting 3 kills is really nice on that thing. Definitely want to try to get as many kills with that as possible, try to get it close to the MVP, if not MVP itself. And yeah, that's going to be all for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.